Oh, yeah, it's expensive, but I'm putting Kaplan's kids through school, so...
You know what? They deserve it.
So thanks for joining us again with another Broverwatch podcast, an Overwatch podcast that you can tune into, listen to, and fill your ears full of our sounds and thoughts on the game that we are super in love with. So who are we? We are three dudes who love Overwatch. The first one being the dank, the drank, the drunk tank himself, Riley Gideon Turner.
Yes.
Joining us from his watch point over there, and he's happy to be with us, I'm sure. We also have the one and only, the always passing the checkpoint in the nick of time, Nick definitely not in love with Diva, Merriman.
Hey guys, happy to be joining from Watchpoint Bordello.
Ooh, we've heard such great things about Watchpoint Bordello.
And they're all true.
Sounds amazing.
And I am Chunky, the one and only panda, saltier than the Chinese food that you ordered at 3 a.m. on last Valentine's Day. And this week has got this panda super salty, my friends. But in a great way. I'm happy to be salty again. I was healthy and well hydrated, and after 1 week into launch, I am already full of salt and have many feelings and things to say about people like Widowmaker. So boys, this is Broverwatch. Every week we gather to talk about Overwatch and drink a few drinks, and then decide to hit stop recording when those drinks start to get to us. So what are you guys drinking?
Go play some more Overwatch after.
Yeah, boy.
Right now, I have straight whiskey.
And what does that remind you of? I think that each one of our drinks says something particular about Overwatch.
I think I need a belt that says Banff on it and a cigar, because it feels like something that my man McCree would drink.
Yeah, man, I could definitely see that.
That sounds just about right. And I don't know, on the control point maps where you start in those dropships?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's on the shelf, but there's a little something back there. I don't know if it's gin, I don't know if it's whiskey. But I have something a little special here today. My man Winston and I have been getting along pretty well the past couple of days, so I decided to honor him with something I thought he would like. Can't do peanut butter, but I can do a banana bread beer.
What?
So I've never had one of these before. It sounds terrible. You guys are gonna get the reaction right now.
Oh, sounds like I just landed a shot.
Okay, banana bread. Smells a little banana-y. And you know what? That is not too bad. That's not too bad. It tastes a little bit like those banana candies, the little 5-cent candies, but yeah, I think Winston would like it.
Definitely pull him over for a drink when you see him at BlizzCon this summer. And myself, I'm drinking the one and only beautiful tree that you see when you enter Hanamura. There's that beautiful cherry blossom just flowing in the wind, and the logo for the cider that I'm drinking right now has a beautiful tree on it as well. It's the one and only Lone Tree cider, brewed in, I believe, California?
British Columbia, dude.
British Columbia, homegrown. Leave it to the bartender to correct me for sure. Yeah, it's delicious, and it's a go-to staple for me, and I'm happy to be sipping it and talking to you guys. So heading on, we had a big week in Overwatch this week with a little something happening. I'm not sure if you guys heard, but the game changed a little this week.
As in, it launched?
Oh yeah, that's what happened. It went from no one gets to play, there was no streams, to a huge launch, and the festivities this week have been out of control, which I'm sure you guys have been following. Leading up to launch, though, we had some interesting things happen. Overwatch Twitter went a little bit crazy with some tweets leading into the show. Do you guys catch any of those?
We got a few.
Yeah.
The Agents Incoming one was speculative to all ends.
Yeah, I caught that one as well. And the night before, saw that tweet, the 3 locations, the 3 times. I was actually pretty excited about it. I don't know if we expected too much, but what we got was still pretty cool. Those statues were very cool.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that on Reddit where there was a lot of people really expecting something pretty big, like a new hero release, or maybe even the game was going to launch a few days earlier rather than just the scheduled 4 p.m. on the 23rd. So I feel that like even though the statues were super cool and I really enjoyed looking at them, I feel the whole thing was overhyped with the word agents incoming. That it kind of overshadowed how cool those things were.
Yeah, like the idea
Totally.
that maybe there would be a new hero reveal. Or I thought maybe that the hero short would drop that day, like a drop early.
Right. But no, we got 3 great statues, Farah, Genji, and Tracer in different points around the world. Looking awesome. What do you guys think of those statues?
I thought they were really cool because they were like the giant action figure ones, correct?
Yeah.
And they had like these funny warnings on them that were written in the style of like choking hazard, Surgeon General warnings thing that you would see on a action figure, but they were like just kind of hilarious, and they were like, there is no actual choking hazard with this toy because it's giant, but but it was still written in the same style, and it was really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think for a launch event, like, yeah, it's easy to get overhyped, but just coming out of nowhere, like, if you would have been there to see them in person, it would have been really cool.
And it's kind of similar to what Blizzard did with the release of Warlords of Draenor with planting the axe Gorehowl into like the taxi cab on in like Times Square and in China somewhere or something. So very similar to that, right?
Yeah, and then if you combine that with I don't know if we talked about last week, the movie theater launches that were going on in the States.
Right.
All that stuff together, like, I think it's cool for there to be that much of an event surrounding the launch of this game.
Yeah, I noticed the first thing that I did as soon as I saw those statues was check the gear store on Blizzard to see if I could go buy one.
Yeah.
Oh, if they made regular action figures.
Dude, give it to me. It's all I want.
That would be very cool.
I'm sure it's all coming.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
speaking similar thing, just before I forget, what I want is in the game, you know how there's maps of like sometimes in the starting points there's like a diva map on the wall with her with like a cola.
But good
And there's a
poster.
Horizon map that's like for the space program, that poster.
Yeah.
If they sold those in-game posters as real posters, I would buy them all.
Totally. I actually got the Diva Coca-Cola or like cola advertisement spray for Diva, and it's just hilarious.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite sprays, and like if those were up in your room, oh man.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's I think part of the payment model and the monetization scheme that we were talking about last week. The more that I see things like this, it's all about marketing. It's all about making it off the purchables, because we're all wanting them, man. We all just
Yeah.
want to spend our money and collect cool stuff around Overwatch.
Totally.
Yeah, it was awesome. So then we had 2 teases. The first one being the tease for the statues that were incoming, and then the other one teasing the hero short with the break-in in Dorado, leading into the release of the Soldier 76 animated short that was the last short of this season, which we'll talk about, which is the coolest announcement, but the last
Absolutely.
short of this season was 76. What do you guys think of the short?
I liked it. I really, really liked it. Soldier 76 is just the total badass. I love the archetype character of like a fallen hero who is still a hero deep down, even as much as he doesn't want to be. Love it.
Yeah, I loved it too. I'd say number 3 is still going to be my favorite of this season. I've watched that one so many times. But I love this one too. I love the little girl. I loved getting to know that map a little bit more. And now that we know that, like, you know, that store that her mom works at is actually on the map. So it's cool to like give a little more life to the map. And seeing Soldier kind of cut loose and do his thing was really satisfying too.
Yeah, it changes the maps for me in such an awesome way that like I immediately want to go 1, play that map, and 2, play that character. I played a little bit of 76 in the open beta, and I wanted to immediately jump back in and be like, okay, I'm gonna play him because he's a total badass. Like,
Yeah.
It's definitely changed one thing for me on that map, which was, I think it's when you're attacking, you're taking that truck that the Los Muertos gang was doing. So when you're attacking on Dorado, you're helping those assholes who were beating up the Omnic, and I don't think I like attacking on Dorado anymore. I'm pro Omnic.
Dude, you're gonna be there with like an RP on a sort of an RP game and be like, sorry guys, I'm pro Omnic, I won't help your cause.
Yeah, it loads up that map. Sorry guys, I'm gonna sit this one out.
Just only play Zenyatta and just do totally different stuff.
And just start talking and being like, yeah, just start quoting and being like, you guys can change. This isn't who you are. You're Overwatch agents.
Speaking of like that map knowledge that these gives you, I love the process of finding out kind of the story behind these maps, because there is a little story behind each of the payloads, but you don't know it right away. But we're kind of discovering it through these videos, and like the teaser that you mentioned. So Blizzard did a little blog post that was teasing the Soldier short, and it was about the power plant being built in Dorado. And so now we kind of know that you're transporting, I guess, the last piece of that power plant to get it started.
Yeah.
And then if you attackers win, the plant starts up at the end.
Right, so it's not the gang members, it's the last piece of the power plant.
But maybe they're related, I don't know.
I think the power plant is a shady deal, and I think they're hiring the gang or something. But I'm not too sure. I might have just made that up.
And it's interesting. I was reading into some stuff this week, and if you look around that whole map, there's lots of canisters from that are from Roadhog, even though he hasn't even been on the map yet, around the bank vault. So when we're all chatting about like, oh, it's this bank robbery, we're playing this payload on a bank robbery, that just kind of, it looks like that just kind of happened, where it was Roadhog and Junkrat just kind of came through and robbed the bank on their way, and it's just this kind of red herring in the map of what you're actually doing there.
Yeah, I love it. And they're actually like inside the vault. I'm pretty sure they're on the security cameras inside the bank. And yeah, like that, when you spawn there as defenders, right? So you think that's the theme of this map, but like that's just a funny like side story that's going on. Mm-hmm. Just Roadhog and Junkrat doing their thing.
Happened in Dorado recently, in the grand scheme of things, which is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, this short really appealed to like the 9 or 10-year-old inside of me, like the badass anti-hero just doing the right thing and sticking it to the bad guys, but he's still kind of just like shady and dangerous. Like I was in love with it for that perspective. Like for me, it's not going to go down as one of the shorts that I remember that changed my view of Overwatch at all or anything like that, but it is going to go down as like one of the most fun and like little boy excited I got about any of the shorts.
Oh man, and talking about little boy excited, when it launched in the morning, like seeing that on my YouTube feed and then having to rush over to the big TV to put it on with the loud music and HD, and like it felt like Christmas morning just getting to watch the short.
I did the exact same thing. I woke up like in bed with my girlfriend, and I woke up, looked at my phone, oh my gosh, it's 10 o'clock. Hero just aired. Just ran out of the room and just put it on the TV.
Yeah, it was so great, and I'm so excited to see more of this kind of stuff. But before we head into kind of the Jeff Kaplan interview the day before the launch of the game, we got a bunch of cool information about the open beta. We were right, an insane amount of people played this game.
Yeah, and that infographic will go over the points of it, but it was so well made and just such a fun read.
Totally. It made a lot of sense too. Like the saltiest moments of the open beta was definitely playing Mercy, the most played support, and getting destroyed by the most played defense, being Widowmaker.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a really good experience, and it's kind of cool to get all this awesome information done.
Yeah. It's funny to see these stats. Like looking at those most picked heroes, initially I was kind of surprised, and then when you start to think about it, those are kind of like the archetype in each of those roles.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
I have to say, I think my favorite stat on this whole infographic is High Noon rolled around 5.7 million times a day.
I love it.
Hilarious.
They did really well. I think what got a lot of people excited, especially those new to the beta, was the amount of bastions that were taken down.
Yeah. That's always satisfying for people.
Yeah, 327.
I also like 341 million heroes commended and then 72 million enemies commended. That's kind of cool that like people are giving the enemy team props too when they do something cool.
Totally.
Yeah, I find no matter how frustrated in a match I get with a player, like for instance today I was playing earlier and there was this Pharah that was like just eating me alive, and at the end, and I was like yelling at my computer. At the end, the Pharah came up with like a ton of rocket direct hits for a command, and I was like, you know what? As much as I was so mad at you during game, I gotta give it to you. You earned it.
And that's something I love about this, especially this type of first-person shooter, is it requires us to be responsible for our actions. We notice when we die a lot, and we often don't notice the mistakes of our teammates as much as in something like a MOBA. So we often notice, like, yeah, like this is where I made my mistakes, this is where I can improve, and it's much harder to immediately kind of target that other player on your team that you see to make a mistake. And also to commend the skills of that other player that killed you like 10 times in a row. You're like, you know what? You're better than I am, and fine, I'll admit it. We also had some new content driven not only by the community, but the media has been all over Overwatch this week. One big name, two big names, three big names was Conan's Clueless Gamer, this segment that came out on YouTube. It was two actors from Game of Thrones and Conan O'Brien playing a miserable game of Overwatch.
Oh, a 1v1 custom.
Oh my god. The game looks terrible.
How does everybody feel about
Preface this. 1v1 custom Overwatch is never going to be fun.
No.
It doesn't matter if you and I are playing 1v1.
I'm going to preface this a step back further. Conan Clueless Gamer is never going to be fun.
Fair. Yeah.
I couldn't even watch the whole thing. For me, it's just cringe-worthy. And I always feel like the tone of the... like I don't really watch Conan, and I love Game of Thrones, love these actors, but like... I feel like the tone's a little weird. I always feel like he's making fun of us. I don't know.
Not on our side. No, I can understand why you feel that way. It was... honestly, the best thing was to see like this game getting this much hype. Was the fact that like Game of Thrones and Overwatch are on the same level of potential excitement for just on a cultural perspective was really cool to see. But the gameplay was bad, and then like the widow butt thing just drove me up the wall. It's like, man, will this game ever be something other than butts?
Ever be anything but butts?
That was my favorite part of the whole
Oh my god, of course it was.
Well, them being okay, like Peter Dinklage being funny off the cup was my favorite.
Oh
part.
yeah, he was great.
Like, he's great. Yeah, I don't know. There's just something a little weird where it's like, I don't know, is he giving props to the games? But then when he's like at the beginning, oh, have you guys ever played video games? They're like, no. What's this? What's the controller? What's this? Like, as if, no, this is stupid.
Yeah,
so I don't know. Maybe that's me projecting. It's all, I don't know.
No, I'm with you on that one. I had some mad feelings about the whole thing. It was the jokes were funny, but like Conan was definitely not laughing with us. Someone who always laughs with us is Jeff Kaplan and his magnificent non-beard, which is a question that he answered in his interview on Facebook.
I love that part.
Oh, dude, he was the best. Man, he looked so good. Like, I saw Kaplan with a beard, and I was like, man, like, you got it going on. My wife's a lucky woman. Like, he's not bad looking now, but he had, like, this Soldier 76 danger about him previously.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Facebook interview I think was really great. It just continues to show like how excited the team is about Overwatch. We're obviously excited as players and fans of Blizzard, but it's so cool to see a development team just so openly excited and supportive of its community.
Yeah, I love Jeff Kaplan. I love how he's been communicating with the community and the developer updates. And to me, he just feels so genuine and like trustworthy, and it really feels like he knows what he's talking about. And I love hearing from him.
Yeah, when I buy loot boxes in Overwatch, I'm like, oh yeah, it's expensive, but I'm putting Kaplan's kids through school, so
you know what? they deserve it.
They deserve it. They got such a great dad. Would have bought 10 more loot boxes if there was still a beard.
Oh gosh. And every interview I hear from the team, like it feels like they're so stoked on it, and like the internet, it's so easy for people on Reddit to be like very critical of certain things, but then listening to these in-depth interviews, it's like these guys are thinking about it. Like, gives me a lot of faith in these guys that they really know what they're doing.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to kind of address some of the elephants in the room. The big one being competitive play in Overwatch. With it being taken out in closed beta, they were aware that like this is a necessary part for the game to succeed and that we needed it soon. So not only did they say like, yes, it's coming soon, TM, in classic Blizzard fashion, but they actually gave some dates for it.
Yes, what did we get for those dates? End of June?
Yeah, so we got a date TM, if I were to call it. It was like, oh, it's going to be coming in between mid to the end of June, which is better than soon TM, because soon TM is like September, but it sounds like it's going to be within a month. We're going to be jumping into a competitive mode.
I think, yeah, definitely they're probably working on seeding people a lot right now, because we are definitely still working on a quick match MMR, and then when it comes to competitive, it's not just going to be everyone jumping into the pool at once. People have been kind of seeded already.
Right, so they'll probably take into consideration your quick match MMR and then try to build your placement games around that.
Exactly.
Or whatever method they go with. Yeah, either way, I'm super excited about it. I think our whole friend group is head over heels for just kind of like nerding out on this game and just playing the hell out of it.
Yeah, and I think that month period, like, that's pretty good. I don't think we could expect much less than that. But to me, it is feeling like we need it sooner than later. But 3 weeks, a month, that's not too bad. And like now, if we treat this month as like our growth period and try out all the characters, and like we're still gonna have a ton of fun this month, and it's gonna be so nice to when it drops.
The one that like took me by surprise, but then I immediately agreed with, was the different tuning for PC and console games. It's something I never really thought of, but like different characters are going to be, just by the input mechanisms of how you play the game, are going to be vastly different in different play modes and different consoles. For example, they talked about Symmetra's turrets and aim assist in particular. Console games have a larger amount of aim assist, so or aim assist in general.
Yeah, aim assist at all.
Yeah, so if you hover over a character and your thumb is kind of going in the speed that they're walking, your aim will actually lock onto that character within a very small threshold.
It just helps you track a little bit.
Yeah, because it's tough, man. Consoles are way harder to kind of get the
much
kills.
harder. Like, it's physically impossible to aim as good as you can do with the whole range of your arm on a mouse with just your dumb little uncoordinated thumb.
Yeah, and it's interesting for them to like mention that they're going to tune it differently, but the example they gave I thought was really informative with Symmetra's turrets. How that they found that they got feedback that people were intending to aim at actual targets, but instead hitting our targets, and they had to decide like, okay, how are we going to tune console specifically with this feature to target the target that the player is actually intending to, and how do we predict that with this aim assist technology?
Right, and I'm sure that can be like quite difficult, especially with Symmetra turret, because it becomes, in the words of Soldier 76, a very target-rich environment. There can be a lot of those, there. So if they didn't tune it, it could be a boon for Symmetra to just stand by her turrets so that everyone gets auto-aimed away from her.
Right, exactly, and end up in its own form of kind of exploit. Whereas like that aim assist technology is meant to make the game more fun for console players and not meant to be exploited to kind of trick the audio aim into making sure that you don't get shot.
Yeah. Or with that Symmetra example, if you walked into a nest but you had her there or another hero there, I wonder if they tune it so that you don't lock onto the turrets, if that would make it way harder to take out the turrets.
Yeah, it's tough.
We've just been playing on PC, so it's interesting to think about these things, and like it's cool that for them it seems like it's going to take a bunch more dev time to work out the different tuning, but it's cool that they're thinking about it.
Yeah, and there's always been the question of like, is not only tuning on console, but like, what about a competitive scene? Will there be a competitive scene on console in the same way that there's going to be one on PC?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
And what's going to be at BlizzCon? Do they have an Xbox game finals, a PS4 finals, and a PC finals? That's a lot of time and stage time for that many games.
Right, because Blizzard's always been all PC except for Diablo, right? Diablo 3?
Yeah. You know, I'm just going to come out and say it. I have a feeling that it's just going to be PC that's given the stage spot and everything. And if someone is really, really good at Overwatch console, chances are they'll probably move to PC eventually, because I just think that's where the scene is.
Look at long term. How long do you want to be playing this game competitively? If the console life is already like 2-3 years into the Xbox, I'm not sure what it is, but something like as long as it's a couple years into that, you only have another 2-3 years before the next Xbox console comes along, and all of a sudden this game that has this huge community around it is moving on to different games that now are playing on this new console, whereas on PC, inside and outside of Blizzard, whether it's World of Warcraft or even older games than that, or things like League of Legends, they have communities for years and years and years because the system we play on doesn't change. It's still a box with computing parts in it, and as long as our components stay the same, we can still be part of this community. We're not ever locked out of it.
I would say the only example I can think of a game keeping a console relevant rather than consoles being what keeps the game relevant, it would be Super Smash Bros. Melee, because the GameCube one is still the competitive standard after 2 separate consoles have come after it. So it is possible, right? It is possible that the community is just so large around Overwatch on consoles that it keeps itself alive like Melee has, but hard to say.
I agree with you guys. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the PC version up on this stage.
Yeah, no, I think it will be too, and I think it just makes sense for long-term support. Like, Super Smash Bros. may have a good scene, but I think it's because of the players, and by no means because of Nintendo's efforts to keep that a thing. If anything, they've tried really hard to make sure that the next version is always the new standard, but it's not.
Actively tried to, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that Overwatch on PC is going to be where it's at for competitive scenes in the years to come. I think they'll very much still support a scene growing in other consoles and other devices, but I think if you're looking at where the long-term community is going to be, I've got to put my money on PC.
Yeah, I think it's great that they're supporting consoles, and like Blizzard games haven't really been big on consoles before, so it's cool that they're expanding. Yeah,
I remember back last year or whatever when they announced that it was going to be for console, and I was surprised even by that.
Oh, dude, I'm still salty about that. They're like, oh, and we got a big announcement. Does it for everyone here that has the internet? And we're like, oh my god, we're all getting beta. We're all getting beta. And they're like, it's coming out for console. And they're like, oh crap, the shit we already
knew. Oh, when you were at BlizzCon, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it was. Everyone like clapped because they were excited they were at BlizzCon, but you could feel the like disappointment in everyone not being immediately let into beta.
I remember that rumor last year. That was like, oh, is everyone who went to BlizzCon and bought a BlizzCon ticket going to get into the beta? Turns out no.
Yeah, so it kind of ended the way it was. I was the only one in our friend group that ended up ever getting into closed beta.
And you were the only one who went to BlizzCon, so do the strings line up?
Yeah. Wake up, sheeple. Go to BlizzCon and come hang out.
And we all will be.
We are all going to BlizzCon this year.
Yeah. Oh my god. We'll have a whole episode dedicated onto preparing for BlizzCon and the awesomeness and how to get the most out of that experience. I went last year, and I have a whole bunch of words to say, and I'm pretty sure you guys have huge amounts of excitement you want to share with the community about you're going to BlizzCon and what that's going to be like for you.
Totally.
So we also had another piece of lore fall into the community this week with a new comic by Farah. This one titled Farah's Mission Statement. What do you guys think of that piece?
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't read it yet.
Ooh.
I know. I was working all weekend up until launch and even into the launch, and then I literally sat down, opened up the comic and everything, and was like, I could either read this comic or play Overwatch. And I chose to play Overwatch. So I'll still get there. I'll get around to reading it, but right now my priorities have been play Overwatch.
What about you? Totally reasonable, man. I've been loving all the comics, and yeah, this one was really cool. A few of them I've found, like the very last panel has been like the real heavy hitter for me. Mm-hmm. So, for example, in this one, Farah's pretty... everyone should go read it right now. Spoilers. Farah's pretty conflicted the whole time about, like, is she pursuing her mission, or is she protecting her team, or what's her deal? And then at the very end, Riley, I think you're gonna like this.
You feel free to spoil. I deserve it at this point.
Yeah. Her Egyptian eye tattoo.
Oh.
So that last panel, she's like, my tattoo, it's the Eye of Horus. This was my mother's tattoo, and I got it in her honor after what happened, but it doesn't say what happened, but we kind of know.
Yeah.
And then I always thought it was protecting me, but now I realize that it means I'm the one who protects. And I love it.
Yeah. I love her eye tattoo, by the way.
Yeah.
It's so fucking cool.
Love that revelation. I love alluding to what happened with her mother. And as far as I understand, was she involved in the fight with Morrison and Reyes in the base? And did she die? Like, is she presumed dead from that?
I think, as far as what we know that Farah's mother was one of the founding members of the Overwatch strike team with Morrison, Reyes, Torbjorn, Reinhardt, and Farah's mom. And then also in this new book or something, there's a new name added to that list to make it 6, but we know nothing about him. But yeah, so Farah's mother was that, and then that's basically all we know.
Okay.
I don't think we know where she is, what she's done. There's lots of speculation that she might be this Sombra that we keep hearing about.
Yeah.
Because Reaper has a voice line clearly alluding to the fact that he has some connection to Sombra, possibly a big one, which would make sense if she was part of the original Overwatch strike team.
Whoa. What if? Right here. As if this has never been realized before.
Exclusive.
Reaper's daughter?
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, that Farah is Reaper's daughter?
I'm just saying.
That's pretty
Man, I love it. You're always just weaving the love triangles out
I
of
got
the
my
Overwatch.
tinfoil hat on, my fan fiction ready to go, and
They have officially been shipped.
well, they're not shipped. That's a whole other thing.
Man, this is the exciting part of having a game that is being delivered in these little chunks that we get to spend time with. We're given these things that we totally don't know yet, and we can totally just nerd out over and find out what we actually think is going to happen. I love getting it in these bite-sized chunks and just being like, oh man, did you see that last panel? Oh, what do you think it is? And usually in a piece of media, we get the whole story told, and you might have little extra parts that hint at maybe a sequel or a cliffhanger, but we're getting these delivered every week, and it's really cool to kind of try and piece together little pieces from last week with the new stuff that we've noticed this week.
I love it too, man. It's like it's like puzzle pieces. And now that we've been talking about it, I had thought that just the one line honoring her mother after what happened, but we don't know what happened. That's so cool, and the anticipation of kind of finding out and putting more pieces together.
Yeah, for me, the darkest part of this whole one, a lot of it was just a standard kind of action comic of, oh no, we're attacking this thing, and then stuff happens, and we've got to come together and fight for the team. But the Omnic that was part of their squad, when he ends up getting controlled by the Anubis technology that they're going to stop, just shoots himself in the head because he gets taken over by this piece of technology. So we find that although Omnics are these sentient individual pieces of technology, they can still be controlled by external sources.
Right, and that's the
cool.
whole God AI thing. I listened to another podcast that was talking about it. Still haven't read the thing, a done. But so yeah, it's definitely going to get really interesting when we find out more about how Omnics can get controlled like that, and how sentient they still even are when they're being hive-minded, with that thing, because that's just sad. They're still sentient while they're being made to do all that.
Yeah, because it's a really sad panel. It's Anubis is taking control of my system. Something terrible is about to happen. My apologies, run, and then he just boom.
Yeah,
right
so
in
it's
his
he
own
knows
head.
it's happening, but he still can't control himself.
Yeah,
That is really heavy.
Right.
Yeah, and it's insane. The whole rest of it really kind of tries to lay it on for me. When the captain gets shot and thrown through the wall, and Farah goes over and is chatting with him, and he's like, oh, you got to in order to take care of the mission, you got to take care with your family, and that for me felt like it was supposed to be this big emotional draw of the comic, was her coming to this realization that her in order to take care of the mission, she must take care of her family, and she must be this leader figure. But for me, the panels before that, when that Omnic shoots himself, is just like, oh, that is the meat. And that panel at the end, for sure, when she's talking about what it means to be a protector. It's the story itself, I think, is honestly fairly weak. But there's a few panels in here that just like knock it out of the park. When I get the same feeling that I feel when I watch those shorts.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think the premise of like, hey, we're attacking this, blowing up a statue with our rocket launchers, like, it's a little weak.
Yeah. 10-year-old me would have also loved that, by the way.
Oh, I mean, 25-year-old me still loved it. But but yeah, those little moments are very cool. One other thing I really liked was seeing her, like, she's the commander of this squad that's like I don't know off the top of my head if she's working for the government or if it's more like a security company. But
it's a security company.
But it's cool seeing her whole squad, and we've only seen her in her power armor, but they all have that kind of power armor, so that was cool.
Yeah. It definitely takes a new perspective on her and her position in the Overwatch universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great comic, I think.
When I saw the Omnic who ended up killing himself, Okoro, he really reminded me of, in one of the concept art pieces that they showed like a year and a half ago, or maybe at the first BlizzCon when they announced it, it had like all the heroes, and there's still some people in that art that we haven't seen. Mm-hmm. And it had like Genji and Lucio before they were, or Genji at least before he was announced. And there was this one tall, thin white robot that I thought was going to be this guy. And then, oh, no.
no. Next panel. A good tip for anyone that's reading these for the first time or rereading them, don't press the large arrows on the left and right-hand side of your screen. If you just click the panel, it'll actually show you the panels one at a time, and I find that this reading experience is much nicer. You really get a chance to absorb each panel as it comes, rather than jumping ahead to trying to figure out the story. And for me, like I went back and read some of the other comics, and the story is much more impactful when you actually concentrate on it panel at a panel.
That's actually funny you should mention that, Eric, because I read the first comic, the McCree one that came out like that, just panel by panel, letting it like load itself out, and loved it. And then I read the Reinhardt one, and I was clicking the big arrows, and I didn't even realize I was doing it differently. I was just like, oh, I guess this is just not doing it the same way anymore, and I didn't think anything of it. But I would have much preferred to read the Reinhardt and the Junkrat one panel by panel, but I just didn't even realize they were two different things.
Yeah, like even looking at this Pharaoh one that I read kind of the first time I read through like page by page, even the color palettes and the characters are just much more in sync with each other and impressive when you read it panel by panel rather than page by page.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. I think it sinks in way better. And I have to admit, I'm not the biggest comic reader, and sometimes when the panel layout's weird, I don't know which one to read first.
Yeah, and it's tough with text-heavy ones, because a lot of the time it'll try it like
problem solved.
One panel will be, a bubble will be in one panel and the next panel.
Yeah, and like, wait, do I go sideways or do I go down? I don't know.
Yeah, and these ones are actually organized pretty well. They've included enough content, but not an exceeding amount to where it completely takes over the story. But it definitely helps when you read it panel by panel rather than page by page. Yeah, it was super cool. We got the Torbjorn one to look forward to soon, and I really can't wait for that one because he seems like
when
one hell of a character.
The Torbjorn one should be next week or something, correct?
Yeah, I would imagine that we'd be talking about it on the next podcast.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that one. Torbjorn's hilarious, like in everything. And
so before we move into how Launch felt and our experiences with it, the last piece of news that I wanted to touch on was just a kind of a community service that Blizzard provided over Twitter, really nonchalantly, completely unplanned. A young girl, very young, drew a picture, much like you'd see on the fridge of any parent with their kid in elementary school, of this character that had like a boomerang and this like green light around them and these like mana balls, and the the parent was so proud. They sent it into Blizzard, and was just excited about it to share with Blizzard. And then within like a few hours, Blizzard had put in a actual version of like art version of this character, and it was so cool to see. I was so excited to see that like Blizzard was just made this little girl's day and the parents' day.
Yeah, I really liked it. And the character looked sweet, by the way. Like, super cool. But did you guys watch the reaction video that the, I guess, parents put up after of the kid seeing Blizzard's rendition of it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
It was really cool. She's just so excited, just like...
Oh, it was really good.
Like, couldn't half believe what was actually going on, and then like when she started to, just getting so excited and just like that's who I designed. And she like the little girl's obviously like already a giant nerd. She was already writing like stats about what it would do and stuff on the back of the drawing, and it was just cool to see like someone get as excited as I would have with this game at such a young age.
Kudos to those parents for showing that little girl the most amazing story that any of us have seen in a long time.
And so, like, also props to the art team. That's so cool for them to go out of their way and make that picture. Like,
Yeah,
It's cool because it probably took one or two of their artists not too long to do, and they just launched. They're in a little bit of a like celebratory. You know, they're not designing new stuff right this minute, so it takes them a couple hours to do this big thing that a lot of people find cool and makes the girls' day. It's nice. I think I would like to see it keep happening, stuff like this.
Yeah, I would love to see more stuff like this, and just to see. Like I'm just looking at the picture now, and it's really neat that they did it, and the hero looks awesome. Like, good on the girl for being creative.
Calling it now. Maybe fourth or fifth hero release, we get this hero.
Oh my god!
you think so?
Could you imagine?
The hero is awesome. Like looking at the picture right now, like the fog given by the mana balls and like her boomerang. Like, oh man, I want to play this character.
It could actually be a really cool character.
What if, like, way down the line, like, they had a concept for, like, a move set of a character, and they meshed that art with it? That would be pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
So that leaves us with one big, large topic to talk about: launch. And how has it been going for everyone? Have you been enjoying finally getting a chance to play where we don't have to worry that it's going away in 2 days?
I have been loving it. Today, mostly. Yeah, launch has been great. It's been grim for a lot of it, and work has been the hardest thing in my entire life for the last couple days. But other than that, launch has been just amazing.
Yeah, I've had such an awesome experience with it too. For me, it always comes back to that this is a game best played with your friends, and it was that way in closed beta, and it's still that way now. I always want to jump on when my friends are playing. I don't think this will be like my single player, I'm going to go grind out a bunch of games by myself game, but I will always be excited to play with my friends.
A couple of our friends, my brother especially, we might have got the Overwatch flu today. I don't know.
Oh,
No. I think it's Talon, man. I think it's a bioweapon.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're trying to take out agents.
totally.
Yeah, man, my launch experience was so much fun. We had, as I mentioned last week, I was out of town. My grandmother's 80th. Rager, obviously. So that next morning, we'll have to leave at 6 a.m., 5-hour drive back to Victoria, and got home in time for launch. And it was great. Like, we had 12 of my friends on, like, you guys were both there, and having a full 6v6 at launch, that's pretty cool.
It was super fun, the 12v12. We were fed some misinformation about whether or not we would gain XP for filling up a public game. But, I mean, it's fair that you don't. They'll always find a way to exploit that if they did.
Yeah, you would just let someone cap immediately and just get the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just cool to be able to do it, right? Because
Totally.
with the amount of people that we have to play, like, that's probably not going to happen again for a while until we make some new Overwatch.
I
games.
actually really did love the playing 12v12 with friends with the team shuffling after every match.
Yeah, that's such a nice feature. I was wondering about that. I was like, oh crap! Like, I know a lot of podcasts with heroes will do custom nights, and they're always really fun. But it's always like captains picking their teams and stuff. I was like, oh man, that's less fun. Like, who really wants to like last pick one of their friends? So as soon as I found out it was like random selection, I was really excited about it.
One thing I really liked about it was that like after the match when we got shuffled onto the other team, like a new team was made. The voice chat, the in-game voice client would change to now you're just talking to your 6 people, and I could say, even though I was playing against Nick in the last match or something, and then we were in the lobby on the same team, I could be like, Nick, that time that you killed me, like really badly, was really freaking cool. So good job on that. Or you could throw some salt to other people and be like, dude, I totally wrecked you.
Yeah, that was cool. Speaking of voice chat, like there was a few little bugs, right? I know we didn't. Reddit was ablaze that we did not get it for 15 minutes.
Oh, dude.
I could care less. Obviously.
Could I just say?
Lies and salt. We were all like, oh my god, here comes Warlords of Draenor again.
It launched at 4 p.m. in the time zone that we're all in, and I had to go to work at 6 p.m. So I had 2 precious hours, potentially, of Overwatch. Not even, because I have to leave a little earlier to get to work on time, which, God, that sucks. But those 15 minutes were the hardest time of my life.
And it was so funny because one person would get in, like I think one of our friends was the first person to get in. And they're like, "I'm in," and then like a second person was like, "I'm in," and you could hear it in their voices in Skype. Everyone was like, "Oh, that's so great! That's awesome, man!" But the tone of the voice was like, "I hate you! Like I want to be in. I'm not excited for you at all. Why can't I be in?"
I don't remember who it was, but one of the guys was like, "Oh, I'm in." And then, oh, yeah, I'm on the character select screen. Oh, Sombra looks sweet.
Oh, yeah.
So mean.
Just the biggest troll.
Love it. And then also,
do you guys actually think that we might have Sombra on launch?
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
I kind of did, because there was the French ad for Hero that said like Hero reveal, but it was probably just mistranslation about the title.
Do you guys think they're going to... You know how in WoW and Heroes they have basically like a PTR with the new heroes before they get launched? Or wait, is that... In WoW it's certainly like that.
In Heroes it's the same thing. In large balance... Well, not for every new hero, but anytime there is a large incoming balance patch and a new hero, you'll always get usually get a PTR realm.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because right now they
are going to be doing PTRs.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense to me too. Like it seems weird after how long that was in beta for them to be able to just drop a new hero in without any kind of testing.
See, and that's kind of why I loved the idea, and maybe I was just like projecting this cool idea, because there's so many people who have been playing for quite a long time with the closed beta, and I thought it would be cool for them to just drop the meta on its frickin' head, and because everyone has these team comps that they know work and everything. Throw another hero in there, everything goes in the wind, right?
I like that idea a lot, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that aspect of it is really cool. But even in competitive play right now, so to prepare for launch, I spent a lot of the weekend watching some of the pro plays, specifically Reunited versus Cloud9 in the Overkill final. And although there was a very set team for point capture, which would be like 2 Winstons, 2 Lucios, and 2 Tracers, most of the comps and stuff were constantly changing. Like there was no character that really got like talked down about. The only one that was a little bit talked down was Zenyatta, just because he's so easy to kill. But out of the 21, like so many heroes were played. You did have ones being played more than others, but we saw things that were like nub heroes, like Bastion got played in a few games.
I mean, I think a lot of it that's the point of the being able to switch heroes, is that you can do it situationally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, I was playing a game earlier with Brendan on Temple of Anubis, and we were attacking on the second point, and there was a Bastion and a Torbjorn set up just in one of the little corners of the point. And I was playing the tank of the team. We only had one tank, one healer. And Brendan was playing Assault, but he was playing like Reaper or something. And eventually I was just like, for God's sakes, Brendan, just go Pharah, fly, and shoot rockets at the damn turrets. And he did, and they blew up, and we won.
Awesome. I think you're right with the idea that like not every character, like since you don't lock in a character, that one character isn't ultimately OP and other characters are trash, because every character counters another and is strong, and that is true in heroes. There's certain characters that are direct counters to other characters that are strong, and you'll see that happen in the draft phase. But since you can switch heroes so quickly and certain characters do fill that particular role, you'll actually see them in competitive play rather than completely banned out, or just that situation never arises, because a team will try to like pull a really weird comp out of nothing just to throw off their opponents.
Yeah, and that dynamic, that fluidity is part of what makes the game so cool. We've found that responding quickly, like if you're getting shut out and you feel like you're not making any progress, like assessing and deciding what's blocking you out, what hero swap you can make to deal with that, and doing it and dealing with it is like such a huge part of the game.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's why parties are so important in this game. Like I always find it, because I'm always playing support, that I'll be playing like Mercy or something, and someone's like, oh, we're just getting shut down, everyone needs to change, and like one person will, and that's not effective to counter a strategy. You need to like rebuild your comp from the ground up, and that's me included too, right? Like maybe my Mercy is getting sniped by a Widowmaker left, right, and center, and I need to be someone that's a little quicker like Lucio to make those shots a little harder to get. But if just me changes, it doesn't matter. But if the whole 6-stack changes to counter their strongest advantage, it becomes a whole different game. And I just love it.
Another thought I had about playing with how important it is playing with full parties. Like solo queue is its own beast, and I've been treating that as a time to practice characters that I'm not as good at, which helps me get not so frustrated with that mode. Mm-hmm. But then we've been lucky. Most of the time we've had a 5 or 6 stack, and it's great. We can be coordinated. We're all having fun chatting together. What I found, like, weirdly, the 3 to 4 people is like the dangerous amount of people, where we think that we have a full group. Right. So we'll be like, okay, guys, group up, and the 3 of us, and then we're all in voice chat. Okay, I'm here. All right, let's go in. But it's only half the team. And so we end up. I've had some good, like, us getting obliterated with, I think, that sort of fault.
I think that's a weakness even in 6 stacks. I've noticed it in our group in comms, that a lot of the time, like, a shot caller will call like, okay, let's group up and go in. Everyone with us? I'm going in. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not. But usually by the time that like we've called out, like with a MOBA, you can physically see the other characters around you, and you can tell when your rest of your team is just behind you. But with this first-person shooter, you can't. It makes sense to think that, yeah, everyone should be with me when I make that call. But if they're across the map, they may not be, and it ends up to another wipe. So I think like in a 3 or 4 stack, you're 100% right. Like, you're completely out to lunch. They could be flying across the map doing their own thing, like trying to like snipe the spawn or whatever. But
I found like once it's 5, they tend to stick with you. Like right. That last guy will just kind of hang out with the group. But 3 is dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah, like you have the confidence that you're playing with your team, but you don't really have the coordination to back it up.
So here's what I'm thinking. And we haven't tried this yet, but I was thinking about this earlier today when we are playing in like 3 and 4. You know how when you hit P to go into the voice channels? If you just do that and everyone moves into the team voice chat anyways, even though we were in our party voice chat before, I know how like in these first-person shooters, a lot of people have like, blah, 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 don't use the voice chat that the game provides for you for some reason. But if there's 4 of us on the team using it, the other person has no choice but to listen and or participate in it.
And people will. Like we have someone that we play with pretty regularly now that we met in closed beta in a random game. Actually, the first thing we said to him was, get out, oh my god, kick him. Because he had joined in and someone had pinged for his spot from our local friends, but we let him in anyways. And we play with him all the time now, and it's specifically because we were chatting and engaging the team. And I find that in a lot of my pleb games too, where I'll go in and I'll just be like, all right, because I get salty. I'm like, okay, if no one deals with that bastion, it's over and we lose. I'm Mercy and I'll support you if you switch. People, all of a sudden, the first person starts talking and they start talking about where they are, and then the next person does, and everyone feels more comfortable.
Yeah.
I would really encourage people to start using the in-game chat.
I think we as a community have to like use it and make it the norm, and I think it will be in competitive. Like, there's no way it won't be, but in this quick play, even, I think it has to be the norm that a team communicates. And as a community, we need to make that happen.
Yeah, I love the idea of making that the culture. I have to say for myself, I think yesterday night there was a point where I was the 7th guy, so I was kind of waiting for a spot, then doing solo queue for a while, and I had I was in chat, and I was finding like I would be in the team chat, and there would only be like 1, 2, maybe 3 people in the chat, and then also no one else would talk. So I felt like a real douche just telling people what to do.
It's part of the game, though, right? Like,
yeah.
If someone, it's really helpful if you see a Reaper going behind your team, even if nobody said a word all match, I will go into, and I'm solo queuing, I'll just be like, guys, there's a Reaper in the back line. And if I convinced one person to look around and shoot that Reaper, then it's helped our team.
Most of us are friends. Like everyone that I've chatted with in the game so far has been good. Like I haven't had like a toxic actual talking person. I've had toxicity in match chat and stuff like that, but not from anyone that's actually said anything.
No, and I'm with you. I've barely had any toxicity at all. I would say I've had some real salty comments at the end of matches, but not really like GG uninstall.
Yeah, but if that's as bad as it gets, is like some Bastion play the game, and then someone saying, "Oh, you're so skilled," sarcastically, like,
"Oh yeah, the Bastions bring up the salt, man." So let's. That's actually a great way to kind of wrap up this segment on our first weekend launches. Best part of the last few days and the worst part of the last few days.
Okay, for me, best part is playing with all my friends, of course, and then from a game perspective, because I wasn't in the closed beta, so I've still had kind of limited experience. I've been loving picking up new characters, and that process from a character feeling foreign and feeling unskilled to like becoming pretty good as them has been really satisfying, and I'm really looking forward to like continuing that with like the majority of the characters. What about you guys?
I would say, oh my gosh, there's so much that's gone on. Even like I only have maybe 4 hours of gameplay already, and there's already been so many moments. Best part, like you said, playing with everyone. There's always someone on. I've only had to solo queue once, and even when I did, it was really good. And best part, the whole thing. Worst part, not really anything. That's
yeah, man.
nice.
I don't really. I can't bring a worst part off the top of my head either. Maybe. You know what worst part is? Maybe like having a full group and having to tell your buddy that they have to wait. They can't play with you.
No, that's totally it. That's because that same thing happened yesterday when I came home from an errand and I wanted to play, and I logged on and I messaged Mike, and I believe you were in his group at the time, Nick, and it was just like, whoops, sorry, man. That's the only time I've had to solo queue is when I have too many friends online.
Yeah.
You guys are so funny. You're so nice. Yeah, that's so funny. I feel like I have a specific moment on one play that was like the best part, and then the worst part is like, I'll get to that. Don't you worry. The best part for me, we were playing one game, playing crazy from behind. They took the first point on Volsky Industries in like 45 seconds, and I was already like, GG, rip, uninstall, just like ready for the match to be over. And then we switched, your brother and I actually, we switched to Lucio's and stood on the point and held it for 7 minutes straight.
Holy.
And we were just unstoppable, like shut down everything, and just the team was like communicating perfectly, calling everything. And to have like a hero switch like that was the moment for me that's like, oh, right, like that's what this game is about. It's not about like being that one guy that gets all the kills. It's like making those plays that are impactful and fun. Because that switch felt so good when we finally toggled that around. A couple other people switched, and then all of a sudden, this team that was going to destroy us couldn't get past us for 7 minutes straight. And this is one of the only games that I think in a very long time that I've had like moments where I can name a play that was really cool, and I have like tons of them from the last few days and from open beta. And the worst part is Widowmaker. I like fucking uninstall, delete her from the game. I'm done with the Widow.
I feel that way about Hanzo, man. I don't know why, but I just get fucking wrecked by Hanzos all the time. All the time. Even in like close quarters, I'm playing Soldier 76. Hanzo can always just shoot me with his bow easier.
Dude, that's funny you guys say that because I feel your pain, but because I've been playing a lot of Diva, diving Widowmakers and Hanzos is like one of my favorite things.
That's why I like hanging out with you, man.
We compliment each other. We support each other.
Because I do this thing as Mercy, who I would say is my most played hero at the moment, where I will see my team and I'm like, oh no, they're in trouble, and I'll start flying towards them, healing as fast as I can. But it's already a lost cause, and no one's really said anything, and I haven't noticed. So I'll get there in time for them to be slaughtered, and then I'll die. So the next time, I'm like, you know what? This is a lost cause. I'm not going to go in. I'm going to be a smart player, and I'm going to wait for spawn. So I like bull back a bit, start walking back to the point, and there's always a freaking Tracer, Widowmaker, or Reaper camping the spawn point, and I get killed anyways. So, Widowmaker is I'm done with seeing her on the enemy team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, adapt or uninstall. So
yeah, you know, Eric, just something you said reminded me. I do have a worst part about it so far, and that is people who won't change off characters. I don't get frustrated seeing a Widowmaker on the other team or stuff like that. I get frustrated seeing a Widowmaker on our team and who's just not doing anything, who refuses to play anything but Widowmaker.
That's funny. Do you have any names in mind?
Is there one person that we know?
There might be one person, but
I wouldn't want to call them out on the internet.
Asterisk, they're really good at Widowmaker.
You know, he is good at Widowmaker, but there are just times when Widowmaker shouldn't be his choice. But he is very, very good at Widowmaker. I will say that. Thanks, Brian. You're a good Widowmaker player. But,
shade.
But sometimes play a different character or something, dude.
That's so funny. So I think that's a big point for pretty much anyone playing in public games is like, oh man, like really just honestly wanting to play the best game possible, but just not having that responsive. And I think that's why we want competitive so much. Like, it's not so much that we want to be like, look at my rank, I'm the toughest dude ever.
Although I do want that.
Jeez, that's just default. But I think it's because we want to be playing with people that are taking the game as seriously as we are and aren't just being like, I played Call of Duty and now GameSpot gave it a 94, so I'm going to play this game and check it out. We want people that are like, yeah, like, I understand Overwatch, I understand, like, that there's different phases. Like, watching the competitive Reunited versus Cloud9, it really taught me that, like, this game is super dynamic throughout the match. Like, the first capture point on King's Row is a very different match than the Streets phase, which is a very different map from that last point. And,
I love those hybrid game types, just so everyone's aware. Hybrid game type, my favorite.
Yeah, I would say, like, that and Payload, I love them both. Like, the capture point is fun, but it's so different. And actually, Mike and I were talking about that, about where our group is weak and where our group is strong. That we, like, our group gets Payload. It makes sense to us, and the game kind of feels natural, but we just don't seem to get capture points in the same way.
Yeah. I had a game earlier on Nepal, which, can't remember, Nick, were you in this one? Anyways, on the first point, we just absolutely dominated it, 100-0.
Yeah, I was
and like we got out there, we took control of it. They couldn't get anywhere near it. But on the second 2 points, we just got eaten alive, and we couldn't do a thing to get on them. And just we didn't adapt well enough to their adapting strategy. It was nuts. Something just went wrong in our planning.
Yeah, and it was one of those situations, like I mentioned, where it was three of us. Just throw some excuses out there. But,
it was definitely the other two. It was not the three. Definitely the other two.
No, but point about those hybrid maps with the control point phase compared to the payload phase, I'm so with you. There's so many times where I feel like I'm playing a whole different match.
Yeah, and it's a match I don't understand yet. I know where, like, maybe it's just like the MOBA mentality of this is the objective, or at least Heroes mentality of this is the objective, this is my place as support, this is where my assassins and my tanks will be, and Control Point, it's a different game with, like, although there is their side and our side, I find that there's so many people flanking, trying to get onto that point, that it really requires a different thinking, and it requires higher team coordination in that you have to be there as a team. Like, if you trickle in, control points are over. Like, you're like GG, it's over. Whereas with payload, if there's some assassins flanking around the side, and as long as you got like two people right on the payload, you can still move that thing along. But with checkpoint, you're like, if you're not going in as a team and they have control of the point and they're in there as a team, like, there's just no contest. They're defending and they're likely have higher alts.
Totally.
That's a really good point. The payload, like a couple persistent players being really on that payload, pushing it, compared to a control point where you really need the whole six people to move as one.
One of my favorite commendations at the end of a payload match is whoever has the most objective time.
Oh, yes.
Especially
always thumbs up.
I was playing with my cousin earlier today, and Brendan, my brother, had a really good, like, damage done or eliminations or something. But then I look over at my cousin, and he's got like 5 minutes and 30 seconds on objective time, and it's just like, holy crap.
That's awesome. Well, thanks everyone for stopping by and listening to Broverwatch episode 2. We are on the internets now. If you were looking for us, you can find us on Twitter over on Broverwatch Show. You can find us on Facebook at the same URL, facebook.com/Broverwatch Show. We've made it onto the wide world of iTunes and Google Play, and soon to be on other podcatchers as well. So
we're actually on other ones already. We're on Stitcher and SoundCloud as well.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so feel free to share those links and hop on our little friend group here. We will be starting up a Discord in the next little while, so people can join up to that as well and join a server where you can hang out and find some friends to play Overwatch with. I often keep Discord open, so I'll be happy to jump in and play a few games with you guys. And I'm sure that you guys are hating solo queuing as much as we are, so jump in there, find some of us, and jump into a group. We've always got at least a 4 or 5 stack running, and maybe you could be our 6th.
If you have any questions, send us an email at broverwatchshow@gmail.com as well. We'll maybe even read your email on the show.
So at this point,
we
have reached the point of drank over drunk. So we're going to politely say goodbye before we say something very unpolite and ruin your nights.
I have to say, the Winston beers went down smooth. Despite the
you drank all 6 of them already, probably.
Despite the initial 5-cent candy taste, Winston actually had me covered. So yeah, I'm feeling a little over drunk at this point, and but it was a pleasure, gentlemen.
As always, until next week, we are your friendly neighborhood Broverwatch, and we'll see you and your watch points in the game shortly.
The world always needs more heroes, boys.